So last night I went and watched Spider-Man Brand New Day. Here are my thoughts regarding the movie with spoilers, so you guys have been warned. Honestly, guys, I think when it comes to Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man, this is definitely his best movie out of all the four, including No Way Home. I guess the reason for that for me being is this movie has the best narrative structure and resembles the true essence of what Spider-Man is. I know there's been a lot of debate when it comes online whether he felt like Spider-Man or Iron Boy Jr. in his first three movies. And depending on which side of the argument you are, this is not the video in which I'm going to discuss whether he was or not. All I'm going to say is, to be quite honest with you guys, I never felt like he was Spider-Man in any of the past three movies, up until, of course, No Way Home, in which he interacts with Tobey and Andrew Spider-Man to understand what it means that with great power comes great responsibility. Let me start with the positives of this movie, that being the references. Obviously, we all know that when it came to the swinging of Spider-Man, they decided to be inspired from the Amazing Spider-Man's version. And when it came to the organic web fluid, to Peter's emotional struggle having to do with his mutation, kind of resembles a lot the storyline of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2, in which, because Peter was struggling mentally of him trying to balancing out his life as Peter Parker and Spider-Man, he was losing his powers because of that mental struggle. And I love how in this movie, at least in my opinion, they were much more pushed towards the inspiration of Tobey's Spider-Man compared to Andrew's, simply because when you pay attention to this movie story, the fact that it's kind of the opposite to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2, in which it's Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man trying to give up being Peter Parker to be more Spider-Man. When it came to the cinematography, honestly, this movie is definitely a much more needed upgrade compared to the other ones. I never liked how in the past three movies, Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man always felt not very realistic. I never liked how he would always look so CGI'd. I could never feel the momentum of him swinging around or the connection of him throwing punches or kicks. And I like how everything about this movie is almost an upgrade to anything he did in the past ones, when it comes to swinging, when it comes to fighting, when it comes to the costume. I like how they heard all the negatives when it came Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man, and they decided, you know what, let's hear what the fans are saying and let's give them a proper Spider-Man story. Where I think this movie shines best has to do with any scene regarding Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man deciding whether he wants to be back into the lives of the people he used to know and love, or whether he wants to give up that dream to leave behind the person who's behind the mask, that being Peter Parker, so he can focus more on being Spider-Man. And I definitely appreciate the fact that, at least when it came to the beginning of the story all the way through the Hulk fight, they definitely try to show you how much Peter is suffering. The fact that he doesn't know whether to tell the girl of his life who he was, and the connection they had between each other, and also him trying to reconnect with his best friend, that being Ned Leeds. You definitely feel how much he's suffering because he can't decide whether he wants to do that sacrifice, because he's afraid that if he does, then the people he loves more and cares will end up dying, just like Aunt May. And I think the movie didn't fail in portraying all that. Again, I think I really need to emphasize that anything that puts this movie down truly has to do with the promotional material of this movie. That being because, other than the fact that the Hulk fight was pretty short, which was one of the biggest selling points of the trailer, it was pretty obvious who this new character that Sadie Sink, I think that's her name, was portraying, which was Jean Grey. And because you know it from a mile away, the reveal doesn't really hit that much. Other than that, everything else about this film is great. The cinematography, the emotional strings of this movie. I think where it fails was anything to do in which the trailers try to convince you to go watch this movie, that being Hulk versus Spider-Man, the mysterious character that Sadie Sink was playing, which we all knew was Jean Grey. And other than that, if not because of those lows, this movie would have probably gone higher. But because of that, that would be my reasoning for this movie being a solid 8 out of 10. It could go a bit lower, maybe after a rewatch. So far, this is definitely the best Spider-Man movie when it comes to Tom Holland's version. It blows anything before No Way Home out of the water. And I'm truly excited to see what comes next for this version of Spider-Man. especially in Doomsday and Secret Wars. But before I end this video, I also want to say the reason I give this movie a score of 8 out of 10 and not anything below is because at the end of the day, this film truly reminded me of the reason why we all love Spider-Man. And it's not because of his iconic bright red and blue suit. It's not because of his swinging. It's not because of his powers. It's not because of his iconic villains. But the reason we like Spider-Man is because it reminds you of the message of that anyone can be him under the mask. The fact that you see the impact of how Peter being Spider-Man has with the city and how New York is truly grateful of everything he's done all the way back to Homecoming is truly wholesome. And when you see the scene of Frank, aka Punisher, faking being Spider-Man so Peter can leave the hospital, it's just truly heartwarming to see how everyone goes to celebrate the fact that Spider-Man is still alive. And the reason he is able to connect so much with these people out of all the Marvel heroes is because at the end of the day, Peter Parker is just an ordinary man who is gifted an amazing gift, an amazing power that whether it for good or for bad comes with enormous amount of responsibility. And the fact that he chooses to carry that responsibility in his shoulders and does the best of being the best version of himself, it's just a message that would always be generational and will last until the end of time, because how many of us out there are trying to go outside and be the best versions of ourselves, in which it's always hard. And I like how this movie portrays that struggle that Peter has of not only being a good neighbor, but being that friendly Spider-Man, the Spider-Man that holds back against his villains, the Spider-Man that even though he has to save the day, he will not only try to save the people of New York, but also the people he's trying to stop. And the way he goes at stopping Jean Grey, not through his fist, but through his kindness, through his words, through his empathy for her, it's just at the core of what it means to be Spider-Man, which is why I give this film an 8 out of 10, not anything below. And the reason I don't go anything above an 8 out of 10 is because, again, I think the promotional material does kind of hurt this movie. But overall, is this the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie we've had? Definitely. I'm Infinite Topics. If you guys like this style of content, please give a like, follow, and repost. As always, guys, I appreciate you if you made it through the end. I'm still learning how to do this stuff, you know. I feel like an idiot sometimes talking to the camera, but I always try my best to be able to express my thoughts, my opinions, and my reviews to you guys. I would definitely like to hear your thoughts in the comments. What you guys think of Spider-Man Brand New Day? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Is Tom Holland your best Spider-Man? I will say I'm more of a Tobey guy even after this movie, but because of how good Brand New Day was, definitely Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man is growing on me, so I will say that. If you guys would like to follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, definitely you can go on my bio and click the links. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, God bless you all and take care.